So welcome back, you guys, to my channel. So today we're going to be actually making sugar cookies, and this is for sugar cookies for Easter. So let's just jump right into it. First, I'm going to be putting on my gloves because I have my nails painted. So I'm going to put on some gloves today, and then let's get started. So here are all the ingredients: your butter, your egg, your salt, sugar, etc. All the ingredients will be listed down in the bottom below. So after we mix our egg, our butter, and our sugar together, we're gonna actually whisk it around. Well, actually mix it around with our mixer. And we wanna get it nice and very creamy. We're gonna take our spoon and we wanna get around the edges so we get all of that scrambled down to the bottom. So everything is combined together. Then once everything is mixed together, we're gonna push that to the side. And then we're gonna start with adding the dry ingredients, the flour, the salt, baking powder, all of that, the dry ingredients in the bowl. Now we're gonna add in the wet and the dry ingredients together. We're gonna pour a little bit of the flour inside with the wet ingredients. And the reason why I say pour a little bit is because of this that's going to happen. As you can see it dust up a little bit. So that's why I said pour in a little at a time, because if you pour in all of it at a time, it will dust up and hit you in your face and everywhere else. And you want to add your milk to that as well and give it a good stir. I should say not stir. And then we're going to go ahead and add in more of the remaining flour that's in there and mix it all around. Now I kind of over mix my dough, so I'm adding a bit extra flour into it because you don't want it to come out very smooth. You want the dough to be very firm. So all I'm doing is just adding a little bit more flour onto it so I can get a really nice dough. Yeah, so now I'm putting those stuff aside, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use my spoon and just mix it all in so I don't over mix again. And I'm just getting all the dough with the flour in and just mixing it. So now I'm going in and I'm actually mixing the dough with my hand. And this is the type of texture that you want. You want it to be nice and firm. Now that it's nice and firm, I'm going to actually get a plastic wrap, and we're actually going to put this in the refrigerator, and you can leave it in there for the next 2 hours, or what you can do is leave it overnight. So I decided to leave my dough overnight and make sure it's nice and firm for the next day. Make sure when using the plastic, make sure you get it everywhere around the dough. You want it to be nicely wrapped around it so none of the dough gets dried out or anything. So now I'm actually going to bring out some dough that I actually had before that I made with the same recipe just the night before, and I actually leave half of that dough in the fridge as well. So I'm going to be making a lot of cookies, but for this I'm just showing you guys this part, and that I brought my roller, my cutting board, some extra flour, and I end up bringing a knife as well because I'm going to be cutting the dough in two. Now I'm going to unwrap my dough carefully from the wrap, and then afterwards we're going to see it's nice and firm, guys, nice and firm. That's what you want. You want it to be nice and chill. And I'm going to cut this in half as well and work with one dough piece at a time. So just take this and wrap it back in the wrapper, and you can put it in the fridge or set it to the side until you're ready for that piece. But I prefer you to put it in the fridge so it'll be nice and chill. Now what we're going to do is we're going to end up taking some flour and dusting on the cutting board. Because this is cookie, it's going to get a little messy, but hey, that's why we have aprons for. If you don't have aprons, it's fine. Also, I would suggest is take some flour and putting on your roller as well. So when you're rolling out the dough, it doesn't directly stick to the roller. So now what I'm going to do is just roll my dough in a little bit of the flour that's on the cutting board, just so nothing sticks with each other. And I'm going to take my roller and roll out the dough. And you want it to roll out really good. You want it to be not very thin. Don't roll it out very thin, because if it's very thin, then you're going to have very thin cookies. So get it to a nice decent size where it's like a little bit thick enough. Now what I'm doing is just lifting up a little bit on the edges. See how it's not sticking to the board? And that is really what you want. You don't really want it to be sticking to anything. So see, that's what you want. Now I actually have all my cookie cutters that I'm actually going to be using for today. And I'm since it's Easter, I got Easter bunnies and all sorts of things I have in there. So what I would do is dip the cookie cutter in the flour first, and then dip it onto the cookies, and you're going to just press down onto the cookies and get a nice give it a good shake, and then your cookies should come out firmly. So now that there's an Easter bunny, so what you're going to do is actually have a flat pan, and you're also, if you have a non-stick pan, that'd be great. I don't have a non-stick pan, so I use a flat pan, and I sprayed it with non-stick spray so it won't stick to the pan. And I'm just going to lay them out, and I'm just going to continue this process of using the cookie cutters and making the cookies. One thing I did forgot to mention to you guys is to make sure you have your oven on 350 while you're shaping out your cookies. So when you're all done and everything, the cookies can go right in and bake. So now that all my cookies are finished and they're done baking, I actually bake the cookies for 15 to 20 minutes, and now I'm just going to decorate them. I have different icings. I have green and I have pink for today's, and I have sprinkles and I have some other gadgets I'm going to use. So I actually take some of the pink frosting and I actually use a piping bag and squirt it all the way down to the bottom. I eventually noticed that I was missing some pieces. So what I end up doing is just putting all the frosting to the bottom and just cutting the bag at the bottom. So hey, these gonna be some cookies. They ain't gonna be fancy, but it gonna be some cookies, all right. So now I'm going in, and after I done cut this piece off, then I'm going to be actually decorating the cookies and just going around the edges and then filling in the middle of the cookies. And I'm just starting off a little by little. Now I'm going in and filling it in with the green frosting. And no, I'm not the best decorator, but I did try something. Now what I did was I just took a spoon and just cover it in and stuff, because it was just coming out very little at a time. So, and just to speed up the process, I just tried to color it in with a spoon. It actually came out pretty okay. Now for the rest of the cookies, I'm just going to color them in and do the same process as I did before. Now here are all they're decorated, and I put in a little container saying Happy Easter, and I hope you guys really like them.